Welcome back, guys, to another episode on the Courtside Investor podcast. I'm your host, the Card Boss, where we talk about cards, finance, business, investing. Today's video, we're going to talk about my July 2025 performance on my first month and on the alt platform. So, as from the title of this video, $76,000 in revenue. We're going to talk about how much money I made. I'm going to talk about some of the cards that I sold, and there are certain interesting learning points that you guys can take off from this video. So firstly, let's discuss about the alt itself, right? So like any other platform, it's an auction website, much very similar to Finance Collect, all right? So they have their weekly auctions every Thursday night, and that's where primarily guys sell my cards. I talked about other things about alt before, such as their cash advance, so we're not going to discuss about that in this video. But one thing that you guys need to be aware of, there is the Alts reward program, and that will give you a tier system. So you have the base, the silver, and of course the highest tier, which is the black. And that will determine the total payout that you guys will receive. So by being on the black tier, you get 115% on top of the hammer price. Now, why is it 115% on a hammer? Because from the buyer who buys your cards, they're paying 20% buyer's premium on the hammer price, and alt actually will pay you 115%. Effectively, that's about under 5% fees in total, which is competitive. It's almost similar as PayPal goods and services. So that's the best seller rate in the market, and definitely being on the black tier is where you want to be. For me, I'm starting out on the month on the black tier, so entire list of cards that you're going to see right after this, everything, the net payout is based on the 115%, everything's on the black tier. Now, one of the preconditions of the black tier is you need to have a very one minimum submission of $50,000, right? And then maintain a total revenue of $300,000 for an entire quarter. So for me, to get to the first submission of $50,000, I needed to put in certain cards to make up the numbers to get to that submission size. And that actually resulted in something that, a loss, right? A loss. So I'm going to talk about that particular loss in a bit. So let's run through the list of sales. All right, welcome back. So here is my list of sales. As you can see, this is the entire list of cards I sold in the month of July. 27 items here, you can see, all right, and a bunch of cards. And how the sales listing sales report works, well, it's pretty interesting. So you have the hammer price here, which is the winning bid. And of course, this is the final payout that you receive to your alt account. And then you get to input your cost base as well. This is optional. You can choose not to put anything there, but I actually input in the cost base here, for the purposes of this video. And that will compute the gain or loss, which comes not only the dollar amount, it's highlighted in red, but also the percentages as well. So these are all interesting little bits of things that you don't find anywhere else. Okay. So let's go through the cards first. I'm going to talk a bit about some financial ratios and then what I might take overall. Okay. So first up, we have the Stephen Curry here, 2018 Flawless PSA 9 Ruby. So I can sold this at my total in is about $2,315 and my cost is $2,330. So it made a net loss about $12. And you can see here 0.5% loss. All right. So moving on, a LeBron Color Blast. This is, I think, it's a very low pop card, pop 3 or pop 5. Okay, I intended to bring this card to Macau show this year, but figured that I was going to do equally as well on so sold here for $4,100 net payout to me, and my cost base of about $3,700, so net profit of about $400, which is 11%. 11% is great because I've been talking about many times in my channel that you guys want to net about between 7 to 12%, and that's a very ideal and very realistic percentage to do selling of cards, right? So some people think that I need to make about 30% or 40%. I think those days are gone during the pandemic days. These days, if you can do consistent between 7 to 12%, I think you're doing awesome. It's all right to do about 5%, but in order to make a sustainable business, you got to be between the 7 to 12. So this is kind of ideal. Okay, moving on. Smaller card here with a Penny Hardaway Gold Prism PSA 9 Auto. It sold for $292. Cost base of $246. I made about $45. So you can see here the percentages is quite high at 18%, but of course the dollar amount is low. So But in totality, when you look at the total sales, when you talk about $76,000 sales, which I'm going to share the total numbers in terms of profit and margin percentages accordingly later. But you want to be, again, on average, be about between 7 to 12%. So moving on. Kobe here, Kobe order from the early year 2012 Panini signatures number 25 BGS 9. So for close to 2,500, cost of 1,900, like a nice $500 profit, 30% return. Awesome stuff. Another Curry NT 2014. This is a very nice looking card, right? So it is number 249 PSA 9. So for close to $3,000, cost paid about $1,500, $1,600. Nice return here. You can see here 89% return. I kind of love this. Okay, but of course, there's going to be some bad stuff that's going to come on right after this. And so far, so good. Moving on. 2018 Noir. So there are two variations for the Noir. This is a Shea SGA RPA number 299. This PSA 9 is very low pop. I think it's a pop 3 or pop 4. Okay, lots and lots of PSA 8s because, as you know, Noir's edges and corners tend to be a bit flaky. So PSA 9 is an extremely strong grade, and that's why it's a low pop. But in this case, it sold for $34.50, which is actually under my expectation because I think PSA 8 goes for around $3,200, $3,300 as well. But one thing that actually goes against it is because this version is black and white version. I think people sometimes prefer the colored versions, and the patch on this is almost white. So I can see why the price didn't really go up to my level of expectation, but no doubt it's still a nice $600 profit on a 20% margin. How about other SGAs? Some of the two SGAs here didn't really did that well here. You can see here, this SGA Contenders. This is just a regular Contenders Optic PSA 9. Sold for just under $1,000 and a cost base of $1,200. And then I lost about $300 on this, followed by a Court Kings Hair Parent number 199. Very high number card. No doubt it's a PSA 10, but many of them around. This is one of the buy mistakes I made early on with SGA. So I paid $2,000 for this. Normally today, I saw many other copies subsequent to me paying $2,000 for this. I could have bought this for about $1,600, which I wanted to maybe think about averaging down, but just decided that I'm not going to buy any of these, I would say, low-end rookie autos for SGA, such as Court Kings. Now, no, Court Kings is, I wouldn't say a low-end product compared to Hoops or Donruss, but I would probably stick to the better ones. So as you can tell here, I made about $450 loss on this particular SGA. Moving on, this is a random, usually I don't buy color variations, but this one was a nice pickup of Anthony Edwards Zebra Courtside PSA 10 for $520, and I sell it for $600. I know, $70 profit, nice, just an easy return. I knew I was going to make some money on this particular Zebra. So not the usual cards that I would like to buy, as you can tell. Usually I focus more on, rarer, older cards, lower pop number cards, or maybe autograph cards. So this is a rare color variation that I went into. Ray Allen. So Ray Allen Exquisites always do well if you can get decent grades. This is a BGS 8.5 pen auto. Ray Allen, nice looking patch, 3 colors here. Sold for $776. Cost base about $600. A nice return on this one. Okay, moving on. So this Jordan here, I actually share on my RG. I bought this from Goldie and I paid about close to $10K on this thing, and I was pretty surprised on this. Is a number 25 gold version, right? I think this is a pop 3 as well. So it's a stick auto, no doubt. Okay, okay, nice looking Jordan pose, I would say. Okay, but Jordan has tons of autograph cards during this period between 2004 to 2007. So this is not one of the more desirable ones, no doubt. It's low pop and serial number 25. But I had the impression that this guy was going to sell for above $10,000. It did hit 10K at buyer's premium. I think the number was like 10,100 or something like that. That resulted in me getting a net of $9,600 and still made about $267 loss on this Jordan autograph, which is pretty disappointing because you never want to lose money on selling Jordan autograph cards, or you should not be actually losing any money selling any Jordan autos. In this case, I actually did. Moving on, so another Dwight Howard here, I lost like 63 cents, that's fine. This is the one, I shared this on my Instagram as well. Kobe Hoops BAMS number 250. This is a PSA 9, very rare PSA 9 copy. I think it's a pop 4, right? This is actually an old PSA slab, which I was considering to send it to get it reholded with a new sticker. I wonder how much would that add a value. But I was waiting, considering the time it would take, to send the card go and send the card back, maybe about at least a month or maybe about 2 months, who's to know, right? So decided to just put it on sale. Still made a nice profit out of this, $1,300 profit, 17% return. I cannot complain on this sale. Could have gotten more, perhaps, but this for me was a quick turnaround and nice $1,300 profit on this. This one here, high voltage 500. This is a bit disappointing for this Anton Walker, right? This is not a big card per se, but a raw of hoops 500, Anton Walker would go for about close to $300 raw. So for this one, PSA 8, generally you get slight premium. I was hoping to get me $350, make it like $30-40. In this case, I lost like $100 on this card. So pretty disappointing. Got a Kobe. This is just a regular 2012 marquee. So for $2,300, I bought it for $2K. For me, BGS 9.5, 10 auto Kobe's, it doesn't matter what set. $2,000 is generally, most of the time, is a buy. Generally you will make money if you keep the cost base around $2,000 to $2,100 roughly. Doesn't matter the set, to be honest, right? Doesn't matter the sticker as well, as long as BGS 9.5, 10 for the auto, 10 for the auto, right? Right. Okay, next up, Noise Boys. One of the nice 90s inserts. This is Stephon Marbury PSA 8. Took a bit of a loss on this one. I did expect this to do better. I did sell a couple of these before in the past and did pretty well on them. So this was a bit disappointing to lose some money on this. Kawhi 2013 second year card, flawless patch auto. This is a PSA 9. Auto's a 9, not a 10. So maybe that did hurt this card a little bit, but still made a little bit of money. So it was all right. Nice looking patch. Jordan, this 86 Bill Jordan has been creeping up quite a fair bit lately. PSA 8s now, I think they're trending around close to $9,000, high 8s, resulting this 7 to go at $6,400, right? You can see here my cost base is about $4,800. Bought this just before it started to creep up, definitely I think I bought this about maybe a month before Nationals. So I think maybe people was talking up for the Nationals, and this was heavily traded during the Nationals as well. So nice return on this, 1,633%. You're not going to see this return consistently because you're not going to be able to find any PSA 7s for under $6,000 going forward. Moving on, again, another Kobe 2012 Gold Standard BGS 9.5 Auto 10. This one number 99. Again, paid about $2,000. This won't go wrong when you buy a 9.5 Auto 10. So for $2,900, made $880 profit on this. Profit margin of 44%. Awesome stuff. Smaller stuff here, gold black gold prism of Kevin Garnett, PSA 10. I lost some money on this one. Desmond Bain, I thought I did well on this one. I bought this before he was traded to the Magic. This is a one-of-one flawless patch auto PSA 9. Paid about $1,300. Sold for about $1,100. So I made about almost $200 loss on this. It was just a swing on this thing. So, when him being traded to Orlando, I thought this would get a bit of an uptick, but I think I knew I was going to lose money when I paid $1,300 for this particular card on Desmond Bain. So, oh well. Moving on. Another iconic 90s in Thunder and Lightning 1997 Stephon Marbury PSA 9. Tough grades on this one. These cards tend to break a bit, and you have a little bit of a lot of surface issues, corner issues, edge issues, lots and lots of issues going for this one. PSA 7 is considered a half decent grade on this. So PSA 9, can imagine, is awesome. So paid about $600 for this, sold for $720. Decent return on this one, even though it's just a Stephon Marbury. All right, so this is the big, I would say, downer during the whole summation. This is a 2003 Essential Credentials LeBron James number 102 BGS 9. This is all 9.5 subgrade except one 8.5. So this is just a 0.5 away to getting a gem min. Okay, so this is a BGS 9. I was planning to save this one. I paid strong on this. You can see my cost base was $17,000. This was on the back of a PSA 8, or was it a BGS 8.5 that sold for about $13,000. So I had a hunch that this one with a strong subgrade will go for maybe above 20. Okay, but this was a problem. I wanted to keep this a bit longer to bring to Macau, but I needed to get the ball rolling for this all black tier a submission, the minimum 50K that I mentioned earlier. So I needed to put in a strong card, a big card. And I figured that maybe this was the one that I perhaps had to put it in. So obviously, that was not a good choice. Maybe people didn't respect the 0.5 away from a gem. Maybe it was just the wrong timing to sell LeBron. I think this would have done a lot better a bit later on the season, but this one, cost about $2,000 loss, so huge loss. Shouldn't be making a loss on this one, similar to the Jordan autograph card earlier. Couple more cards to go. SGA Contenders Optic lost some money on this one. Another Kobe auto, this is a BGS 9. Paid, this is number 99. So Timeless Treasures 2012, nice looking card. So for 2,500, made about $500, decent. Yao Ming 2002 Ultimate Auto PSA 10, very rare PSA 10 as well. $1,000. It was fair price to pay on this, so for 1,300, nice returns. And finally, Stephen Curry 2020 Clutch Factor NT number 25 BGS 9.5, so bought for about 2,300, sold for about 2,600. So all in all here, you can look at the details. So the big key things to note here was, like, for example, the Jordan, I bought it at the right timing. I made a 1,600 on it. Bought a very rare Hoops Bams Kobe number 250. So I could have gotten more if I decided to re-slab it or re-hold it to a new sticker. Chose not to. Lost some money on this Jordan, which I shouldn't have to. And I lost big time on this Essential Credentials. Okay, so let's dive in a bit of some numbers. I know you guys like some numbers on my channel, so we're just going to break down. Total revenue, as pointed out earlier in detail, is $76,745 in totality. I made a net profit of $5,030 for the 27 cards you see here. That's an average about $186 profit per card, which is okay. But percentage, the margins, right, 6.55%, which is under what I originally wanted, between 7 to 12 that I mentioned earlier, but still above the the minimum of 5, which I set a target for myself. But given the quality of the cards you can see here, the credentials, the Jordan autos, the multiple Kobe autos, the multiple Steph autos, this should have done better. So I took a bit of digging a bit further just to look at my numbers and to get a bit more detail a bit. So when I look at the 27 cards that I saw here, 16 of the cards actually made money, 11 of the cards made losses. So we focus on the cards that made money first. So out of the 16 cards, total revenue was about $43,000, $43,500 in total, and the profit was about $8,700. And net margin on the cards that made money was about 20% profit, which is awesome. 20% average profit on the cards that made money. All right, so $43,000 of revenue and 20% profit on these. Now look at the cards that made loss. So 11 cards that made loss. Total revenue contribution was about $33,000, $33,247, of which they made a total loss of $3,693, about $3,700 loss, and total loss margin was about 11.1%. Now, if you remember, right, so the big chunk of the loss here is actually coming from the Essential Credentials. Now from this LeBron James, contributing $15K in revenue and $2,000 loss in totality. So once you take away the LeBron, right? Just hypothetically, if I didn't sell the LeBron on this, if the LeBron wasn't on this list, my total loss would be just $17,000, $17,900, and a total loss of about $1,600 with a net loss margin of 9%. Okay, which is all right. Sometimes you do get that kind of loss percentages. It's a shade under the 11% earlier when you add in totality. But one thing that's changed is when you look at the overall picture, $76,000 in total revenue. Without the LeBron, we're looking at about $61,400 in revenue, and total profit with the LeBron was about $5K. When you eliminate this loss here of $2,000, my total net profit would have been about $7,100, and $7,100 over the $61,000 of revenue, we're looking about 11.6% gross margins or net margins, which is right on the 12% mark that I talked about earlier. So all in all, right, so this is actually a very good month for me, because just the LeBron itself, yes, was a downer. It should have made it in the first place, but it was necessary because of to kickstart this whole black tier program. Normally I wouldn't want to sell it on this platform, but it is what it is. But given all the other cars that I've purchased to just to resell, making about net 12% on about $61,000 in revenue, which is pretty decent. $7,000 return. It's nothing small. It's not, of course, it's not like making 10 grand or 50 grand or whatever. You don't imagine that. Running a solo business, $7,000 net profit. Just sitting on behind the screen, moving cards around. Pretty awesome stuff. So that's literally the breakdown of my July sales. All right, August is going to be a decent strong month for me. September is going to slow down as I'm going to pull back some of my inventory to bring to the Macau show. And perhaps in about a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to start my Road to Macau series, talk about my preparation for the Macau show. I'm going to stick around to watch that one. All right, do like and comment below if you have any questions on this particular video. Happy to answer most of them. Like, subscribe for my channel. Once again, thanks for watching, guys. Till the next one, Cowboys out.